So guys, late evening ko na na-process yung vlog for today, but minalas ako, hindi naka-record yung audio. That was 20 freaking minutes, so ayoko na masayangin. You just watch it without the audio. Anyway, that's transactional, so I think it's easily understood. Now ngayon, I was busy the whole day reading about Ukraine, the war in Ukraine, so what is that? My idea lang about the whole thing is that this is just my opinion. When you're trying to be a lapdog of the US or of the Western powers and you don't have the military capability that these superpowers or these allied forces have, as you can see what happened to Ukraine when NATO stood by and watched. It's kind of sad, but this comedian of a president should have known better that Russia in all its glory is still a superpower. It has nuclear weapons. Its allies are also the giants, China, and then it has forged a friendship even with all the economic embargo imposed by the allied forces against North Korea. It is Russia and China that kept North Korea afloat. So you can't be too innocent in this day and age that you would just think, hey, the US will save me from all my wars, from all my battles. The frustration of the president of Ukraine is evident in his statements released to the press now, but if he has foresight, then he should have seen this coming. When Russia annexed Crimea, that should have given him an idea, the trajectory of what Putin is going to do in the region. And as for the two separatist states, which by the way is a sandwich in one of the states of in one of the regions of Ukraine. I think it's the city of Kharkiv, if I'm not mistaken, yung dulo. And those two separatist states na Russia acknowledged as a republic, although the world never acknowledged it as such. Can you imagine the adjacent regions, which is formerly part of Ukraine, now declaring their own independence and having their own government as a republic, independent of Ukraine, but with alliance with Russia. So, ang gulo. I don't know how this war would end, but with NATO member countries standing by, making sanctions, parang, alam mo yun, moro-moro. But this should I'm all for the right to self-determination. This is paramount in every sovereign state, but in the larger scheme of things, Ukraine, if it is to side with NATO, serves as a launch pad for these superpowers to threaten Russia. Simple lang naman yun eh. Magkatabi sila eh. So, alam mo yun, yung border mo, dudut-dutin mo yung Russia. If and if NATO will, take over Ukraine, or if Ukraine become a member of the NATO. But as you can see now, sana maging lesson to for Ukraine, but there is no such thing as a real winner in war. The It's the people who are the casualty, and we elect leaders to represent us, to be knowledgeable of foreign policy, how you interact with states. But when you elect, ewan ko, I'm not saying that you should not elect an idealistic person, and more so a former comedian, a TV personality. Ewan ko lang kung anong klaseng aral ng foreign policy meron yan. But not to discount his love for Ukraine, but this is where he has put his countrymen into. Well, the Ukraine people are also naman nag-aalsa against Russia. But, and the reason why they revolted against the former head of state that they thought was a puppet of Russia. So they replaced him, and they had a revolution and toppled him. But with what is happening now, hindi mo rin masasabi na it worked for their benefit. If Ukraine will be annexed to Russia. Pero kasi sa international law, wala na dapat yung invasion eh. But the US had been doing this for some time. Look at what they have done to Afghanistan. The West has this policy of conquer and divide. They conquer the state and then they divide the people. Sinong pinag-away-away? Yung mga tao dun sa country that they invaded. Look at Afghanistan. Afghanistan in all its glory, wala. Dead. And how they equipped the Afghanistan, the Taliban when they left Afghanistan. It's always in the guise that Uncle Sam has helped you, and then you have to take up arms against your own insurgents. Lumang tugtugin na yan. Ginawa mo na rin yan sa Iraq. Ginawa mo na rin yan sa, when you tried to disarm Iran, but Iran is smart enough not to surrender its nuclear weapons. With the push of a button, we can all be gone in this earth with these nuclear weapons. But I don't know how the politicians running the world will do about it. Wala akong pakialam. Basta sa akin, ang Pilipinas, we're an easy target. So dapat lang tayo, neutral. It is to the best interest of the Philippines as an independent state and the sovereignty na huwag tayong sobrang apple sa US kasi naman, hindi naman tayo tutulungan yan. Look at what they've done to Ukraine. And then in the same way, hindi mo rin i-offend si Russia at si China kasi what's the worst that can happen to the Philippines? Guys, we are an archipelago. Wala tayong katabing country. Dali nating tirahin. Ewan ko ilang missile kaya na tayong pulbusin. So, what's our military might? Meron ba tayong kagaya ng Israel na pag-intercept dun pa lang sa hangin? We don't have that military might. So, we might as well be smart in our foreign policy. So, the next, I'm not registered as a voter. Matagal ko nang give up yung right na yan. And I don't think any politician can change my life. So, I'm a taxpayer. I'm a good citizen. I think I've done enough for my country. Sa kanila yung boto-boto na yan. Kasi whoever sits in Malacanang, he doesn't give me any food on my plate and a roof over my head. I don't give a damn. Ngayon, si Bongbong Marcos, if he wins because he leads in all the surveys, o diba? Ano ngayon kung si Bongbong? Well, siguro naman natuto na si Bongbong. What has happened to his family. He knows how the US operates. So, I just hope hindi siya maging sucker for the attention of the US. Yun lang. If he doesn't win, if Lenny, if Isko, if Manny, if Ping, if Kalyoli, fine. Although, hindi mo ako boboto. Wala akong interest. Anyhow, so yun guys, storytelling time. Funny anecdote. Nung kanina, I was busy preparing my license renewal. Kukunin ko na sana ID ko. And then when I looked at my desktop sa laptop, nakita ko yung petsa. 2/25/2022. That's the EDSA revolution and that's a holiday. Now these days when Rodrigo Roa Duterte took office, medyo nag-change yung narrative eh. Binadownplay yung EDSA. For all that it's worth, EDSA happened and we enjoy the fruits of democracy because of the sacrifices of those who were the front runners of EDSA. And who are the front runners of EDSA? It's the people. It's the people. It's the people who toppled the dictatorial regime of the Marcoses. I'm not pro BBM, never. Yes, I favored Duterte, but I can never favor Marcos. I grew up in a martial law Mindanao na you wake up to the sound of the gong and it serves as our deterrent of any suspected unknown individuals in the village, so that when you hear of the gong, alam mo may mga elements na pagala-gala sa gabi, but they're not from your own people because during the martial law there is a curfew. So kung merong pagala-gala dyan and really suspicious yung mga acts, the village would sound the gong. Now the gong is not literally the gong na nakikita nyo dun sa mga Korean dramas. No, it could be anything. It could be an empty gallon, kahoy, yero, just so lang na maingay and it produces a sound and it, raises the awareness of the barrio people na merong pagala-gala that you didn't know because supposedly no one is outside during curfew hours if they're not part of the military and the police. Ayun lang. So, generally, the martial law regime was, I think it repelled the NPA, the New People's Army in Mindanao, primarily. The place where I was raised was heavily influenced by the NPA. I remember during grade school, I think it's in grade 1 or grade 2, because yung bahay namin is bato, hollow blocks na. People were in our house, taking shield kasi merong crossfire dun sa hills, just above, a little above our barangay. So, diba, yung bullets run a few kilometers. So, if in case there are stray bullets, then it will hopefully not hit us in the valley. So, let's pause.